words for Lord Krishna. Our dear Lord, you have appeared in your original unalloyed form, the eternal form of goodness for the welfare of all living entities within this material world. Taking advantage of your appearance, all of them can now very easily understand the nature and form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Persons who belong to the four divisions of the social order, the Brahmacharis, the Grahasthas, the Vanaprasthas, and the Sannyasis, can all take advantage of your appearance. Dear Lord, husband of the goddess of fortune, devotees who are dovetailed in your service do not fall down from their high position like the impersonalists. Being protected by you, the devotees are able to traverse over the heads of many of Maya's commanders-in-chief, who can always put stumbling blocks on the path of liberation. My dear Lord, you appear in your transcendental form for the benefit of the living entities, so that they can see you face to face and offer their worshipful sacrifices by ritualistic performance of the Vedas, mystic meditation, and devotional service as recommended in the scriptures. Dear Lord, if you did not appear in your eternal transcendental form, full of bliss and knowledge, which can eradicate all kinds of speculative ignorance about your position, then all people would simply speculate about you according to their respective modes of material nature. The appearance of Krishna is the answer to all imaginative iconography of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone imagines the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead according to his mode of material nature. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that Lord is the oldest person. Therefore, a section of the religionists imagine that God must be very old, and therefore they depict the form of the Lord like a very old man. But in the same Brahma Samhita, that is contradicted. Although he is the oldest of all the living entities, he has his eternal form as a fresh youth. The exact words used in this connection in the Srimad Bhagavatam are Vignanam Agrana Vidapamarjanam. Vignanam means transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Personality. Vignanam is also experienced knowledge. Transcendental knowledge has to be accepted by the descending process of disciplic succession as Brahma presents the knowledge of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita. Brahma Samhita is Vignanam as realized by Brahma's transcendental experience, and in that way he presented the form and the pastimes of Krishna in the transcendental abode. Agnana Bhida means that which can smash all kinds of speculation. In ignorance, people are imagining the form of the Lord. Sometimes he has no form and sometimes he has form, according to their different imaginations. But the presentation of Krishna in the Brahma Samhita is Vignanam, scientific experienced knowledge given by the Lord Brahma and accepted by Lord Chaitanya. There is no doubt about it. Sri Krishna's form, Sri Krishna's flute, Krishna's color, everything is reality. Here it is said that this Vignanam is always defeating all kinds of speculative knowledge. Therefore, without your appearing as Krishna as you are, neither Agnana Vidha, nations of speculative knowledge, nor Vignanam would be realized. Agnana Vidha Pamarjanam, by your appearance, the speculative knowledge of ignorance will be vanquished, and the real experienced knowledge of authorities like Brahma will be established. Men influenced by the three modes of material nature imagine their own God according to the modes of material nature. In this way, God is presented in various ways, but your appearance will establish that the real form of God is, of what the real form of God is. The highest blunder committed by the impersonalists is to think that when the incarnation of God comes, he accepts the form of matter in the mode of goodness. Actually, the form of Krishna or Narayana is transcendental to any material idea. Even the greatest impersonalist, Shankaracharya, has admitted that Narayana Parovyakta, the material creation, is caused by the Avyakta, impersonal manifestation of matter, or the non-phenomenal total reservation of matter. And Krishna is transcendental to that material conception. That is expressed in the Srimad Bhagavatam as Shuddha Sattva, or transcendental. He does not belong to the material mode of goodness, and he is above the position of material goodness. He belongs to the transcendental eternal status of bliss and knowledge. Dear Lord, when you appear in your different incarnations, you take different names and forms according to different situations. Lord Krishna is your name because you are all attractive. You are called Shyama Sundara because of your transcendental beauty. Shyama means blackish, yet they say that you are more beautiful than thousands of cupids. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya. Although you appear in a color which is compared to the blackish cloud, because you are transcendental absolute, your beauty is many times more attractive than the delicate body of Cupid. Sometimes you are called Giridhari because you lifted the hill known as Govardhana. You are sometimes called Nandanandana or Vasudeva or Devaki Nandana because you appear as the son of Maharaj Nanda or Devaki or Vasudeva. Impersonalists think that your many names or forms are according to a particular type of work and quality because they accept you from the position of a material observer. Our dear Lord, the way of understanding is not to study your absolute nature, form and activities by mental speculation. One must engage himself in devotional service. Then one can understand your absolute nature, transcendental form, name and quality. Actually, only a person who has a little taste for the service of your lotus feet can understand your transcendental nature or form and quality. Others may go on speculating for millions of years, but it is not possible for them to understand even a single part of your actual position. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, cannot be understood by the non-devotees because there is a certain curtain of Yogamaya which covers Krishna's actual features. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Naham Prakasha Sarvasya. The Lord says, I am not exposed to anyone and everyone. When Krishna came, he was actually present on the battlefield of Krishna, and everyone saw him. But not everyone could understand that he was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Still, everyone who died in his presence attained complete liberation from material bondage and was transferred to the spiritual world. O Lord, the impersonalists or non-devotees cannot understand that your name is identical with your form. The impersonalists or non-devotees cannot understand that your name is identical with your form. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no difference between his name and his actual form. In the material world, there is a difference between form and name. The mango fruit is different from the name of mango. One cannot taste the mango fruit simply by chanting mango, mango, mango. But the devotee who knows that there is no difference between the name and form of the Lord chants Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and realizes that he is always in Krishna's company. For persons who are not very advanced in absolute knowledge of the Supreme, Lord Krishna exhibits his transcendental pastimes. They can simply think of the pastimes of the Lord and get full benefit. Since there is no difference between the transcendental name and the form of the Lord, there is no difference between the transcendental pastimes and the form of the Lord. For those who are less intelligent, like women, laborers, or the mercantile class, as mentioned in the Vedas, the great sage Vyasadeva wrote Mahabharata. In the Mahabharata, Krishna is present in his different activities. Mahabharata is history, and simply by studying, hearing, and memorizing the transcendental activities of Krishna, the less intelligent can also gradually rise to the standard of pure devotees. So it's nowadays actually everyone is actually born a Shudra. It is not that the Varnashrama is already broken here. Varnashrama is actually, no one does the Brahmanical work, no one does Kshatriya's work as it should be done. So when he says that Mahabharata is for the less intelligent, even Bhagavatam says that Manda Sumanda Matayo, means in this Kali Yuga, everyone is dull-headed. Everyone is dull-headed. Even those who think that they are Brahmanas think on the basis of birth. It is not on the basis of qualification. So Mahabharata is still like applicable to everyone in this age. It's not just for the lower class. In the Mahabharata, Krishna is present in his different activities. Mahabharata is history, and simply by studying, hearing, and memorizing the transcendental activities of Krishna, the less intelligent can also gradually rise to the standard of pure devotees. The pure devotees, who are always absorbed in the thought of the transcendental lotus feet of Krishna and who are always engaged in devotional service, in full Krishna consciousness, are never to be considered to be in the material world. Sri Rupa Goswami has explained that those who are always engaged in Krishna consciousness by body, mind and activities are to be considered liberated even within the body. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Those who are engaged in devotional service of the Lord have already transcended material position. Krishna appears to give a chance to both the devotees and non-devotees for realization of the ultimate goal of life. The devotees get the direct chance to see him and worship him. Those who are not on that platform get the chance to become acquainted with his activities and thus become elevated to the same position. Our dear Lord, O Supreme Controller, when you appear on the earth, all the demons like Kamsa and Jarasandha will be vanquished and all good fortune will be ushered in the world. When you walk on the globe, your lotus feet will impress on the ground the marks of your soul, such as flag, the trident and the thunderbolt. Thus you will grace both the earth and us on the heavenly planets, who shall see those marks. Because these are the demigods praying, so they say that thus you will grace both the earth and us on the heavenly planets, who shall see those marks. O dear Lord, the demigods continued, you are unborn, therefore we do not find any reason for your appearance other than for your pleasurable pastimes. Although the reason for the appearance of the Lord is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, he descends just to give protection to the devotees and vanquish the non-devotees. Actually, he descends for his pleasure meeting with the devotees, not really to vanquish the non-devotees. The non-devotees can be vanquished simply by material nature. The action and reaction of the external energy of material nature, creation, maintenance and annihilation, are being carried on automatically, but simply by taking shelter of your holy name. Because your holy name and your personality are non-different, the devotees are sufficiently protected. The protection of the devotees and the annihilation of the non-devotees are actually the business of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he descends, it is just for his transcendental. Wait a moment, it's not. Okay, the protection of the devotees and the annihilation of the non-devotees are actually not the business of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When he descends, it is just for his transcendental pleasure. There cannot be any other reason for his appearance. Our dear Lord, you are appearing as the best of the Yadu dynasty, and we are offering our respectful, humble obeisances unto your lotus feet. Before this appearance, you also appeared as the fish incarnation, the horse incarnation, the tortoise incarnation, the boar incarnation, the swan incarnation, as King Ramachandra, as Parashurama, and as many other incarnations. You appeared just to protect the devotees, and we request you in your present appearance as the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself to give us similar protection all over the three worlds and remove all obstacles for the peaceful execution of our lives. Dear Mother Devaki, within your womb is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appearing along with all his plenary extensions. He is the original Personality of Godhead, appearing for our welfare. Therefore, you should not be afraid of your brother, the King of Bhoja. Your son Lord Krishna, who is the original Personality of Godhead, will appear for the protection of the pious Yadu dynasty. The Lord is appearing not only alone, but accompanied by his immediate plenary portion Balarama. Devaki was very much afraid of her brother Kamsa, because he had already killed so many of her children. She used to remain very anxious about Krishna. In the Vishnu Purana, it is stated that in order to pacify Devaki, all the demigods along with their wives always used to visit her to encourage her not to be afraid that her son would be killed by Kamsa. Krishna, who was within her womb, was to appear not only to diminish the burden of the world, but to specifically protect the interests of the Yadu dynasty, and certainly to protect Devaki and Vasudeva. It is understood that Krishna had been transferred from the mind of the Vasudeva to the mind of the Devaki, and from there to her womb. Thus all the demigods worshipped Devaki, the mother of Krishna. After thus worshipping the transcendental form of the Lord, all the demigods with Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva placed in front, departed for their heavenly abodes. So this is the end of the chapter. Prayers for the demigods for Lord Krishna. So there are lots of points made, and Prabhupada also explained a lot of points here. But if you have any particular questions, then you can ask. Anything, Mataji? No. Shakti, did you catch all the points, or
not everything?
You can ask questions if you want. If you reach anything. You have any?
Not yet.
Buddha Prabhu?
One point you said, right? When Krishna was present,
Yeah,
no one was knowing he is free.
yeah,
Vidur, Vishnu Pitama, Kunti, they were knowing that, right?
yeah. They were knowing it, yes. Bhishma was, of course, Mahajana. Bhishma is considered a Mahajana.
Krishna was knowing.
Bhishma was knowing, sure. Kunti also knew because she praised Lord no, after Kurukshetra.
Kunti knows, Krishna knows, Vidur knows.
Vidur knows, yes.
Who else knows that?
The Pandavas knew. Pandavas knew to a certain extent.
No, certain extent, but not as supreme.
I think they knew Prabhu. Kunti knew.
Kunti knew,
Yeah,
that's right.
even the Pandavas knew Prabhu. That's my opinion. Pandavas definitely knew. Because we see that Arjuna is just playing as being in Maya in Bhagavad Gita. Our Acharyas say that Arjuna is just playing as being in Maya in Bhagavad Gita, so that Krishna can deliver Bhagavad Gita
Under Yoga Maya?
under Yoga Maya. That is the verdict of our Acharyas. Arjuna is a very, very pure devotee. And he is just playing to be in Maya so that Krishna can deliver Bhagavad Gita. So in all these Leela, we think that, we assume that maybe Pandavas are in some kind of Maya. But actually it's mostly Yoga Maya. And for the Leela purpose, they are accepted as pure devotees, so they should be known. Krishna is
So when they are covered by Yoga Maya, Yashoda Mata or Arjuna, they will be not knowing 100% is supreme, right?
Yeah.
Even Maharaj or Yashoda Mata.
See, that's why Arjuna also prays to Krishna, please forgive me, I thought that you are my friend.
Yeah, after that.
After he showed the Vishwarupa. But that is considered Yogamaya covering of Krishna. And even the Gopas, Gopis, they also don't consider Krishna as a supreme person. So, but they know that, internally they know that, yeah, he is the supreme object of our worship. That much they know, 100%. Anything else? Prabhu? Anything else?
We'll talk next.
Yeah. ಇಂಟಿಗಂಟೆ ಆಯ್ತಲ್ಲ ಇನ್ನು 15 minutes ಇದೆಯಾ ಅಥವಾ ಇನ್ನು ಎಷ್ಟೊತ್ತು ಟೈಮ್ ಇದೆ
10 minutes.
10 minutes. So I will just start the next chapter. The birth of Lord Krishna. I will just read maybe one page and then stop. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says that his appearance, birth and activities are all transcendental, and one who understands them factually becomes immediately eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The Lord's appearance or birth is not like that of an ordinary man who is forced to accept a material body according to his past deeds. The Lord's appearance is explained in the second chapter. He appears out of his own sweet pleasure. When the time was mature for the appearance of the Lord, the constellations became very auspicious. The astrological influence of the star known as Rohini was also predominant because this star is considered to be very auspicious. Rohini is under the direct supervision of Brahma. According to the astrological conclusion, besides the proper situations of the stars, there are auspicious and inauspicious movements due to the different situations of the different planetary systems. At the time of Krishna's birth, the planetary systems were automatically adjusted so that everything became auspicious. At the time, in all the directions, east, west, south, north, everywhere, there was an atmosphere of peace and prosperity. There were auspicious stars visible in the sky, and on the surface, in all the towns and villages or pasturing grounds, and within the mind of everyone, there were signs of good fortune. The rivers were flowing full of waters, and lakes were beautifully decorated with lotus flowers. The forests were full with beautiful birds and peacocks. So we also have our Kaveri full now, just before the appearance of Krishna. All the birds within the forest began to sing with sweet voices, and the peacocks began to dance along with their consorts. The wind blew very pleasantly, carrying the aroma of different flowers, and the sensation of bodily touch was very pleasing. At home, the Brahmanas who were accustomed to offer sacrifices in the fire found their homes very pleasant for offerings. Due to disturbances created by the demoniac kings, the sacrificial fire altar had been almost stopped in the houses of Brahmanas, but now they could find the opportunity to start the fire peacefully. Being forbidden to offer sacrifices, the Brahmanas were very distressed in mind, intelligence and activities. But just on the point of Krishna's appearance, automatically their minds became full of joy because they could hear loud vibrations in the sky of transcendental sounds proclaiming the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The denizens of the Gandharva and Kinnara planets began to sing, and the denizens of Siddhaloka and the planets of Charanas began to offer prayers in the service of the personality of Godhead. In the heavenly planets, the angels, along with their wives, accompanied by the Apsaras, began to dance. The great sages and the demigods, being pleased, began to shower flowers. At the seashore, there was the sound of mild waves, and above the sea, there were clouds in the sky, which began to thunder very pleasingly. When things were adjusted like this, Lord Vishnu, who is residing within the heart of every living entity, appeared in the darkness of night as the Supreme Personality of Godhead before Devaki, who also appeared as one of the demigoddesses. The appearance of Lord Vishnu at the time could be compared to the full moon in the sky as it rises on the eastern horizon. The objection may be raised that since Lord Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the waning moon, there could be no rising of the full moon. In answer to this, it may be said that Lord Krishna appeared in the dynasty which is in the hierarchy of the moon. Therefore, although the moon was incomplete on that night, because of the Lord's appearance in the dynasty wherein the moon is himself the original person, the moon was in an overjoyous condition. So, by the grace of Krishna, he could appear just as a full moon. You got this point? They are saying that because Krishna appeared on the 8th day of the moon, so it's a half moon. So how can you say that appearance of Krishna is like rising of the full moon? It doesn't match because it's on the 8th day. So they're saying that because Krishna's dynasty, Yadu dynasty is a Chandravamsha, means it is a dynasty of the moon. So when Krishna appeared, that moon was overjoyous. So it appeared as if it is a full moon. When Krishna appeared, the moon was overjoyous. So it appeared as if it was the full moon. So that is the alankara, that is the embellishment to the appearance of Krishna given in the Bhagavad Gita. This explanation. In an astronomical treatise by the name Kamanikya, the constellations at the time of the appearance of the Lord are very nicely described. It is confirmed that the child born at the auspicious moment was the Supreme Brahman or the Absolute Truth. Vasudeva saw that wonderful child born as the baby with 4 hands holding conch shell, club, disc and lotus flower, decorated with the mark of Srivatsa, wearing the jeweled necklace of Kaustubha stone, dressed in yellow silk, appearing dazzling like a bright blackish cloud, wearing a helmet bedecked with a Vaidurya stone, valuable bracelets, earrings and similarly other ornaments all over his body and an abundance of hair on his head. Due to the extraordinary features of the child, Vasudeva was struck with wonder. How could a newly born child be so decorated? He could therefore understand that Lord Krishna had now appeared, and he became overpowered by the occasion. Vasudeva very humbly wondered that although he was an ordinary living entity conditioned by the material nature and was extremely and was externally imprisoned by Kamsa, the all-pervading personality of Godhead Vishnu or Krishna was appearing as a child in his home, exactly in his original position. No earthly child is born with 4 hands, decorated with ornaments and nice clothing, fully equipped with all the signs of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Over and over again, Vasudeva glanced at the child and he considered how to celebrate this auspicious moment. Generally, when a male child is born, he thought, people observe the occasion with jubilant celebrations, and in my home, although I am imprisoned, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has taken birth. How many millions of times should I be prepared to observe this auspicious ceremony? When Vasudeva, who is also called Anaka Dundubi, was looking at his newborn baby, he was so happy that he wanted to give many thousands of cows in charity to the Brahmanas. According to the Vedic system, whenever there is an auspicious ceremony in the Kshatriya king's palace, the king gives many things in charity. Cows decorated with golden ornaments are delivered to the Brahmanas and sages. Vasudeva wanted to perform a charitable ceremony to celebrate Krishna's appearance, but because he was shackled with the walls of Kamsa's prison, this was not possible. Instead, within his mind, he gave thousands of cows to the Brahmanas. When Vasudeva was convinced that the newborn child was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, he bowed down with folded hands and began to offer him prayers. At that time, Vasudeva was in a transcendental position and he became completely free from all fear of Kamsa. The newborn baby was also flashing his effulgence within the room in which he appeared. So I will stop here. So the next section is Vasudeva offering prayers to Lord Krishna. So I'll read that tomorrow. Any comments or questions or anything? Yeah. So I'll stop here. लीला गुरु महाराज की जय, लीला प्रभुपाद की जय, वैष्णव वृंद की जय, ओम प्रेमानंदे।